My story is unlike the other stories you have read here, but I hope you will take a moment to hear it. I am not originally from the United States, but I have been working here since I was 23 and I'm about to turn 31. I came from a developing country and pursued both my bachelor's and master's degree in computer science engineering at an Ivy League institution here in the US. In essence, I have been in the United States since I was 16 and a half years old. My father works for the government and my mother is a homemaker. I also have an older sister who is a doctor. She's married and has two children. Both my sister and I excelled academically. She had a dream of becoming a doctor and she achieved that dream. As for me, I aspire to be an engineer and wish to pursue my bachelor's degree in the United States. Currently, I am working for a global renowned company that we all recognize. Their products are a part of our daily lives in various ways. I entered into an arranged marriage. At the time of my marriage, I was 27 years old while my wife was 21. After completing my master's degree and secured a job at my dream company, I relocated to a new city. Initially, I shared accommodation with two of my friends for 3 years. However, when one of them got married, we have to leave that place and found a new place to rent on our own. I rented a spacious three-bedroom apartment in an upscale part of the city, which was conveniently located just 15 minutes away from my workplace. In this new apartment complex, I had the pleasure of meeting an American gentleman who happened to be my next door neighbor. He worked as a car salesman for a distributor of an high-end car brand and shared the apartment with two other individuals. This neighbor of mine turned out to be an incredible source of support. I mean, his assistance was truly invaluable. We developed a close friendship, and he would regularly visit me of his own accord, at least once a week, to acquire if I needed any help. Almost every weekend, I would extend invitations to him for both lunch and dinner at my place. We often gathered at my apartment to watch sports on TV and engage in discussions on a wide range of topics. Whenever I visited my home country, my thoughtful mother would send him numerous gifts, which he received with great delight. I never inquired about his personal life, and he, in turn, never probed into mine. Anyway, I eventually got married, and naturally, I extended an invitation to him. I even went ahead and booked tickets for him and covered the visa expenses. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it due to some work-related commitment. My wife, after completing her visa processing, joined me in the United States. I was overjoyed. My wife is exceptionally beautiful. I stand at a towering 6 feet and 3 inches, and she's 5 feet 8 inches tall. She hailed from a well-established family and possesses a warm and charming personality. She holds a bachelor's degree in history. About 7 months ago, while I was working at home, I heard my wife crying. I approached her to understand what had happened. She was sitting on the living room couch, watching TV. At first, I assumed that something on the TV had upset her, causing her tears. When I inquired, though, she burst into tears, and I remained perplexed, still searching for the emotional trigger on the TV. She started saying how sorry she was and how she ruined everything. I was still trying to understand what is happening and told her as much that don't worry, we can always fix whatever was ruined. No need to cry. And she looked ugly while crying, and she should always smile. Next 6 to 8 hours was hell for me. She told me how 2 years back, for a month, I worked 20 hours every day on a very important project. My friend and my wife went on an excess rampage. Basically, she told me I would leave for office at 3:45 in the morning, and my friend would come over at 4, and they would do their thing, and he would leave right before I arrive at 12 in the night. It went on for exactly 1 month, and everything stopped after that month. Also, my friend left the apartment complex the next month as well. He rarely speaks to me or responds to my text messages anymore. The affair lasted exactly 1 month, no more than that. Anyway, after we returned from our home country, I became extremely busy with work for about 2 weeks. My wife, on the other hand, was occupied with household chores. One weekend, I invited my friend over for lunch. According to my wife, that's when everything began. My wife has noticeably large natural breasts, and apparently, my friend couldn't stop staring at them for as long as he was there. I had no inkling about this. My wife asked, "How could you not notice that? He was your friend, and you must have been aware of his behavior around women." According to my wife, whenever he would be around, he would stare and I think I am a fool for not even being aware of this. My wife never went anywhere alone. I will always be with her. She was new to the city, and we would go to shopping mall, grocery store, and other friends' home, etc. My American friend also came with us few times. I never felt anything unnatural about him or his interaction with us. He was friendly and helpful all the time, but my wife said he was creepy in a natural way, but creepy nonetheless. We will invite him twice a month, at least for either lunch or dinner. There will be interactions in the corridor as well. My wife said no matter what it was, he would look at her breast. I cannot recollect a single instance of this behavior, honestly. The weekend just before the incident began, we invited him over for dinner. During the meal, I mentioned how my upcoming month would be extremely busy, with me working 20 hours a day. I explained that I would be home for no more than 4 hours each day. According to my wife, on the first day of my long work hours, I left around 3:45 p.m. Around 3:50 p.m., he knocked on the door, and after my wife confirmed his identity, she let him in. He entered, locked the door from the inside, and without a word, he kissed her. The rest of the story is something you can easily guess. He departed around 10:30 p.m. that night, and I returned home at midnight. Similar incidents unfold throughout the month. When I asked my wife why she didn't share anything after the first time, she remained silent. I inquired if she had screamed or protested when he kissed her, but she said no. She didn't understand why this man was kissing her, and she froze. Whatever he asked of her, she complied. It's important to note that when we got married, my wife was very innocent, and both of us were virgins. I had never been involved with anyone else either. When I asked her why she's sharing this with me now, she burst into tears and explained that it was eating her up from the inside. She couldn't bear the shame and guilt she felt, and she needed to share it with someone she trusted. She proceeded to tell me everything in great detail, and this conversation continued for 6 to 8 hours. Our marriage is quite ordinary in many ways. However, what sets us apart is that we got to know each other gradually after getting married. We didn't rush into intimacy. It took time. There was no pressure from me whatsoever. If I could exercise self-control for so many years, a few more months wouldn't have made any difference. We shared many joyful moments and visited numerous places together. Before our marriage, my mother had given me a list of things to buy to make her life easier at our home. Even before we got married, I had many conversations with her on the phone. I lead a very simple life, and I am committed to keeping it uncomplicated. I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, and I have never watched lewd content. I don't have any female friends. There's nothing you would find objectionable about me. I swear on my mother's name. The same goes for her. She's a very down-to-earth girl, exceptionally pretty and beautiful. Our apartment costs $5,200 a month, but I now earn nearly $600,000 a year. After we got married, I made sure to fulfill every request she made without any hesitation. I was even entitled to a $20,000 quarterly bonus, though I rarely received the full amount, except for the month when she had the affair. In addition to that, I used part of the money to buy her a diamond bracelet of her choice. Her parents had an arranged marriage, as did my sister, and most of the people I know also entered into arranged marriage. The same is true for her family. There haven't been any major marital issues in any of this union, just the usual disagreements that occurred in every marriage. What bewildered me is how oblivious I must have been to not notice anything during that month. I remembered it vividly. I would come home from the office, utterly exhausted, freshen up, and she would hand me a glass of warm milk, after which I would promptly fall asleep. When the pandemic hit, I started working from home, which meant more closeness, laughter, conversation, and yes, intimacy. Yet, I didn't pick up on anything unusual. She later told me that she had been feeling very sad during that time. Nevertheless, she would sit beside me while I work for long hours, reading novels on her tablet, and we would discuss the storyline. One of her hobbies is reading about world history and sharing fascinating tales. I genuinely enjoy listening to her talk. Does this make me a fool for not noticing anything? A few months after I started working at the company, I found myself in the cafeteria one evening with some colleagues, including a few from my project and two from another project. We were engaged in casual conversation on various topics when one of the guys from the other project shared an interesting piece of information. He informed us about a married woman in his project who was having an affair with an unmarried man in a senior position. The age difference between them was approximately 20 years, and he claimed to know for a fact that she was earning significantly more than her husband. This, he speculated, might be the reason why she was involved in an sexual relationship with the older man, who was earning more than 10 times her husband's income at the very least. This story stayed with me, lurking in the back of my mind. It made me contemplate how income disparities in a marriage could impact a relationship. I shared details about my own earning capacity for this reason. Why I don't know the exact annual income of my American friend. I'm fairly certain he doesn't surpass mine. No, I am not among the top 5% of the highest performing employees, but I don't fall into the top 10%. In some cases, certain individuals receive significantly more than the others in terms of performance-based rewards. What I'm trying to understand is the reason behind her unfaithfulness. I have been reading a lot of content related to the red pill philosophy, which often emphasize qualities like being 6 feet tall, having a six-figure income, and maintaining a six-pack physique. I possess all these attributes, yet I'm still experiencing this humiliation. Additionally, I'm beginning to question her innocence. There's one more detail I'd like to share. They engage in actual activities around my apartment. All the 3 bedrooms, on the bed, on the floor, and under the bed. I asked if it was even possible. She said yes, sideways, whatever that means. Out of the 3 bedrooms, 2 has walk-in closet. They did it there as well. All the 3 bedrooms has balconies. They had eggs there during broad daylight. All 4 bathrooms, under the shower, on the bathroom floor, on the toilet bowls. He peed on her multiple times, on her face, on her breast, and the rest of the body. He peed on her standing on top of the kitchen island. They had eggs in the kitchen and balcony attached to the kitchen. They had eggs on the dining table and on all the dining chairs. They did it in the living room extensively. They had eggs one time in the corridor as well. There are security cameras for obvious reasons. He never used protection, not even once. She takes birth control pills. I am still trying to process all this information. My wife insists that they never had any private interaction before the incident. She doesn't have his phone number or email address, and I handle all the bill payments. I have checked, and it's confirmed. I have also taken her phone, tablet, and laptop away. I have thrown myself completely into my work. I have even been tested for STDs, and the results came back negative. I haven't engaged in any extra activities since that day. I have a close relationship with my apartment owner. He happened to own several units in the building, including the one my friends stay in. This is how we initially crossed paths. The owner is around 60 years old and has become a father figure to me. He lives alone and has told me that if I ever need a space to talk or someone to talk to, I can come to him anytime. I have read almost all the stories where the wife was unfaithful, and I have read them multiple times. There is a story of a guy I read here. His ex-wife had an affair with one of her wealthy clients and took her unsuspecting husband to the client's house to fix something, giving them the opportunity to have an affair. I could relate to that story quite a bit. The difference in my situation is that my wife never blamed me for anything. She repeatedly expressed how sorry she is. Before I got married, my brother-in-law shared some wisdom about emotions with me. He told me that either you control your emotions or someone else will. It's a common aspect of human nature. When taken to the extreme, the tendency can lead to controlling behavior. He said, right now, you're single, but you will get married soon. This rule applies 100% to marriage. He also advised that emotions are individual, belonging to each person separately. However, there is an overlap, a shared emotional space, where both partners express their feelings. This is where sincerity becomes crucial. The more sincere both of you are in this shared emotional space, the more balanced your marriage life would be. As for me, I haven't shed a tear to this day, not even once. I haven't gotten angry either, although I do feel frustrated at times. When I ask her questions, my voice remains as calm as it was before all this happened. Surprisingly, she has never once expressed frustration with me for asking questions. She, on the other hand, has been crying constantly, and I have chosen to ignore those tears. I just needed to vent. Please forgive me if I'm taking up your time.